As just a rookie, Eddie Lacy looked like an NFL legend in the making. He punished defenders, dragged tacklers, and stormed his way to Rookie of the Year. But just 2 seasons later, everything changed. He was mocked for his weight, called out by his coach, and turned into a punchline by fans. So what happened? Was it discipline, injuries, or something deeper? Because the truth behind his downfall is way more complicated than you think. Eddie Lacy was born and raised in Gretna, Louisiana, a suburb of New Orleans. But during his freshman year of high school, his life was turned upside down. Hurricane Katrina hit, and Lacy and his family were forced to evacuate. After spending weeks in a Texas hotel, Eddie and his family were finally allowed to return to his childhood home, or what was left of it. The walls were covered in mold, and what was left of their belongings had been looted. Eddie says seeing his home like this is when he stopped having feelings. He says after that day, he became emotionless. But Katrina didn't just take Eddie's home. It took away stability. Both his parents had lost their jobs, so his family moved in with his aunt. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and 9 other people under the same roof. Eddie's parents eventually found work, and in December of 2005, after 4 months with no real home, Lacy's parents moved into a trailer of their own. When Eddie walked inside, he was like, "I don't like this. I don't like this at all." So he came up with a plan to get his family out. He taped this sign on his door as a daily reminder. But through all the chaos, one thing did feel the same: family dinners. It was southern Louisiana cooking, so nothing healthy, Lacy said. No vegetables to speak of, I'll tell you that. Typical dinner might be fried chicken, red beans, and rice, or pork and beans, fried pork chops, everything that is not good for you that tastes good, you know? But it was cheaper, so we didn't have to spend a lot of money on it. During this time, football changed too. It went from being something Eddie played for fun to something he played to let his anger out. On the gridiron, Lacy was a man on a mission. As a junior, he rushed for 1,800 yards and 27 touchdowns. By the time he was a senior, he had offers from some of the top programs in college football, like LSU, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. But Lacy decided he wanted to play for Nick Saban and committed to Alabama. Before leaving for Tuscaloosa, Eddie promised his parents he was going to do whatever it took to get them out of that trailer. Lacy says his first year at Alabama was the worst year of his life. Before arriving on campus, he had never lifted weights, and now he had to do it almost every day. Bama's running back room was also packed. Lacy was the 3rd string back behind 2 future first-round picks in Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson. But in the limited snaps he got his freshman year, he performed. He averaged over 7 yards per carry and got into the end zone 6 times. As a junior, Lacy finally took over as the Crimson Tide's starting back and didn't disappoint. He racked up over 1,500 yards from scrimmage and 19 touchdowns. Alabama made it all the way to the national championship game that year, and in that one, Eddie put the team on his back, rushing for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bama won, and Eddie was named the game's offensive MVP. So after his standout junior season, Lacy declared for the 2013 NFL Draft. But the pre-draft process wasn't kind. He battled some injuries and didn't test great. Part of it came from a rough private workout. He labored through drills, was out of breath, and a few evaluators whispered about conditioning and work ethic. And suddenly teams weren't just asking about his burst. They were asking a deeper question. Does he really love football? When asked by the media if football has ever brought him true joy, he said, quote, "It's had its moments, I guess you could say. It was a lot better for me in Gretna, though. Football is not what it was to me in high school now." While scouts were nitpicking the tape, the internet found something else to latch onto: Eddie's tweets about China food. It was clear Eddie loved his China food, tweeting about it dozens of times. "Craving China food again. I keep craving China food. I want China food, a lot of it. I can't stop thinking about eating China food." But little did people know, these tweets that seemed funny at the time would lead to the demise of his NFL career. Also guys, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, NFL All Day. Simply put, NFL All Day is making the trading cards of the future. But here's the thing, NFL All Day isn't just about collecting. They give you the opportunity to flex your football knowledge. NFL All Day has a handful of free games where you can compete with other football fans for prizes. They have your classic pick'em, which is where you predict the winner of each game every week. Then there is their one and done, where you select one player from each offensive skill position and try to create the perfect lineup. But here's the thing with one and done. Once you select a player, you can't use them again for the rest of the season. So you have to really think about when you want to use the star player. And finally, there is the playbook game. With playbook, you select which players you think are going to achieve a certain stat line like over 215 passing yards, over 5 catches, etc. What's really cool about playbook is you can play the free version or the version where you can actually create a lineup using moments you own. So guys, there's no better time to start on NFL All Day. So hit the link in the description and you'll get a free pack guaranteed to include a moment from an NFL star. The future of collecting is digital, and NFL All Day is where the NFL lives online. Click the link, grab your free pack, and see for yourself why fans everywhere are all in. When draft day rolled around, Eddie Lacy was the first running back off the board. The Packers selected him with the 61st overall pick in the second round. From day one in Green Bay, Eddie didn't move like a 230-pound back. His feet were light, the balance was ridiculous, and the spin, that was his signature. The highlights quickly stacked up. Week 6 at Baltimore, his first 100-yard game, 120 yards on just 23 carries. Monday night versus the Bears, 22 carries, 150 yards and a score. Chicago knew what was coming and still couldn't get him down. 2 weeks later, he bullied Minnesota for over 150 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. And then the one everyone remembers, Dallas versus Green Bay. The Packers were down 23 points at halftime, and their season was on life support. Eddie then put the team on his back, rushing for 141 yards and finished the comeback with a 1-yard touchdown run to win it. Eddie finished his rookie season with a total of 1,178 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. He was named a Pro Bowler, a second-team All-Pro, and won the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. In 2014, his second season, Lacy proved he wasn't just a one-year wonder. He racked up 1,139 rushing yards, 427 receiving yards, and 11 total touchdowns. He ran like a bowling ball. He kept his pads low, churned his legs, and just ran through defenders. But that 2014 season, the most important thing he accomplished happened off the field. He finally fulfilled the promise he made to his parents. He got them out of that trailer and bought them a home. However, things then quickly took a turn for the worse. You see, in college, Eddie was forced to work out with his team all year round. But in the NFL, he had a whole offseason away from the team to do whatever he wanted. No one was watching him and no one was telling him what to do. So in 2015, Lacy arrived at training camp overweight. He reportedly weighed 260 pounds, making him one of the heaviest running backs in the history of the league. With this added weight, his production declined. That season, he only rushed for 758 yards and 3 scores. Online, Lacy's weight became a punchline. Tons of memes were made about him, and people started calling him Feast Mode. Eddie saw these jokes, and they started to take a toll on him. He said, quote, "I could pull up my Twitter right now, and there would be a fat comment in there somewhere. Like, I could tweet, 'Today is a beautiful day,' and someone would be like, 'Oh yeah, you're fat.' I sit there and wonder, what do you get out of that?" At the end of the season, Packers head coach Mike McCarthy went public with his disappointment in Lacy, saying, quote, "He's got a lot of work to do. His offseason last year was not good enough, and he never recovered from it. He cannot play at the weight he played at this year." So that offseason, Eddie locked in. He did P90X and started boxing. When he reported to training camp in 2016, he was down nearly 20 pounds. But once the regular season began, Eddie started gaining the weight back. Despite the extra pounds, Eddie was playing well to start the season. Throughout his first 5 games, he averaged over 5 yards per carry. But then, in Week 6 versus the Giants, he suffered a season-ending ankle injury. And that's exactly why the Packers needed Eddie to lose weight. The extra pounds were putting such a strain on his body, making it way easier for him to get injured. While recovering, Eddie couldn't do much, so he was just sitting around and eating, which caused him to gain even more weight. After that season, Eddie was a free agent. He left Green Bay and signed a 1-year, $5.5 million deal with the Seahawks. But Seattle had concerns about Lacy's weight. After the injury, he was weighing in at 267 pounds. So in his contract, there was a weight clause. Basically, he had 7 weigh-ins where he had to weigh under a certain number each time, and every time he did, he would get $55,000. Lacy thought this information would stay private, but the first time he weighed in, the results were made public within 20 minutes. Eddie hated this. His weigh-ins had become a public spectacle, and it felt like people were shaming him. Despite making the weight he needed to play, Lacy didn't see the field much in Seattle. He only played in 9 games and averaged just 2.6 yards per carry for a total of 179 yards. That marked the end of Eddie Lacy's football career. Some people may say Eddie Lacy's NFL career was a disappointment, but for Eddie, it allowed him to achieve the most important goal in his life: to get his parents out of that trailer. Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden and then out of the league in like 2 years. If you guys want to hear his story, check out this video up here.